Hi, darlings. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing really well. Thank you for tuning in. So, if this is your first time here, welcome, loves. My name is Nanya Odiri, and on this channel, I like to share everything from fashion to lifestyle to love and inspirational tips and tricks. So, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 negative mindsets that actually affecting your relationships. So these are 5 negative mindsets that might be hindering you getting hitched, might be hindering your relationships, and might be hindering you, walking down the aisle. A lot of the times we are not aware that the way we think actually affects the results that we have in life. And I know for me personally, these are things that I had to work on in my life. And as soon as I got rid of these negative mindsets, I actually was able to find someone that I could settle down with. So, in today's video, we're going to be going through those things, and hopefully, this video will be a blessing. And let's jump right into it. Let's start off with the number one negative mindset, and this one is super common. It's super common because it is something that we all experience, especially as young girls. So, the first negative mindset is believing what the media says instead of God's narrative. When we talk about marriage and the expectations of marriage, what it is that we want in a life partner and all of that, I think we can all agree that we have been influenced by the media. I mean, I know while I was growing up, my whole definition or my whole thoughts as to what marriage was what I read in magazines, what I read in meals and books. I don't know if you grew up in the 90s or the early 2000s, a lot of us read this book called Meals and Bones. I don't even know if they still make it M&B. And it was this stupid romantic novels that we read. And, those things just give you a very unrealistic expectation. It's all about the poor girl in the village who this rich guy just sees and he just loves her because I don't even know. There's no real reason why he falls in love with her. He just falls in love with her. And unfortunately, with the rise of social media, we have a lot of young ladies right now who are looking at all these relationships on Instagram. They're all fake, by the way. Most of them are fake. 90% of them are fake. But these are the relationships that are pushed down our throats. And so you have a lot of young girls who are feeding off of what is being put out on social media. Not only young girls, even us women, even older women, even people who are married, we have our relationships being affected by what we see on social media. And we expect or we think that that is reality. You watch Beyonce and Jay-Z, Ciara, and what's her husband's name? Something Russell. And we have all these very unrealistic expectations. You haven't worked on yourself, you haven't built yourself, but you believe that you deserve that 1% guy. And because of that, you have such unrealistic expectations. You're not basing your marriage or your values based on what God is telling you that you should look for in a partner. You're basically basing it off of what you see on social media, what you've read in the magazines, the pictures that you've seen. Oh, the wedding dress. Oh, he has to have this level of income. Now it's so trendy for 20-year-olds to say, you know what, if the guy doesn't earn up to 6 figures, I'm not even going to talk to him, right? How realistic is it for a 25-year-old man to be making 6 figures, right? And to have made that consistently for the last year. I'm not saying, he could have had a one-off, but I'm saying consistently, right? How realistic is it? What is the percentage of men that will be earning this amount of money? But, a lifestyle has been presented to women. And, it's being presented to them that if you don't get this lifestyle or if you don't have this lifestyle, then that, it's not a marriage that is worth anything. You shouldn't get into that relationship because the guy's a bum. He can't provide for you. He's not flying you out. He's not giving you trips. You're not this Instagram couple. He's not taking pictures. He's not fly. It's all that crap. And I think, if you really want to sit down and if you really want to have a lasting relationship, not a relationship for Instagram, not a relationship that's about taking pictures, not a relationship that's just about the optics, but a relationship that is centered on God's word, that is built on the word, that is going to last, a relationship that's going to be about you, your husband, and your family, a man who's going to value you, a man who's going to respect you. Girl, you need to get rid of all that rubbish. You need to get rid of all the nonsense that you saw in the magazines, all the nonsense that you see on social media. These things are actually stopping you from entering into profitable relationships with men who actually value you. So I think the first thing you have to do is come with a clean slate, get rid of all that rubbish that Instagram, social media, magazines, Barbie, all that nonsense that we grew up with, Cinderella story, the guys, the prince is going to come and rescue you, all that crap, right? Get rid of all that crap. So let's move on to number two. The second thing you definitely need to work on is your standards. Now, I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way because I definitely believe that every woman should have standards, right? You should have at least a base level that you shouldn't go below, right? So, yes, you should have standards. That means that you value yourself. That means that you understand your self worth. However, a lot of us women can't tell the difference between having standards, having expectations, and having preferences. Those are three different things. And, a lot of us just box all of them together in one box and we call them our standards. That's not true. Your standards should be based solely on your values. What are those values that you're looking for? That's what your standards are. And I think a lot of us hide behind, unrealistic expectations and we call them standards, or they're just basically our preferences, right? And we call them our standards. Oh, he has to be tall. That's the stand. That's not a standard. That's just a preference. You just prefer guys that are tall. A lot of us have to be able to make that distinction in our mind and know that, okay, listen, some standards are just downright ridiculous. I'm going to say it, like some of your standards are actually keeping you from getting into fruitful relationships, because the truth is you don't have standards. What you have are ridiculous expectations, or you have preferences and you've simply refused to work around those preferences. And so I think, a lot of us, have been fed with this narrative that, I have to have standards and I'm worth this and I'm worth that and all of that. And that's fine. If you're going to do the work, if you're actually going to do the work in yourself and build yourself up to become that woman of worth. However, a lot of us are just walking around with standards and we're expecting men to meet those standards when we are not even working on ourselves, right? We're not working on ourselves. We're not building ourselves that we can have something to offer this man that we're expecting to meet all these standards and all these expectations and all these preferences. I feel for this generation sometimes, I feel for these young people because I'm like, what are we consuming? You have young women coming on and, having these ridiculous standards. Oh, I'm not going to go out if it's a coffee date. What's wrong with coffee? You drink coffee. Most people drink coffee. Why can a guy not take you out for a first date for a coffee date? Like he has to take you to this 5-star exclusive restaurant because that's your standard. That's not a standard. That's just a ridiculous expectation. And a lot of women will cut off a lot of good men because maybe the guy said, "Oh, let's go for a walk in the park." That doesn't mean he can't afford to take you to an expensive restaurant. It just means that maybe he wants to get to know you first. The third thing that I think really does affect, your relationship status is not acknowledging or refusing to acknowledge that men actually have needs. I think this is actually a pandemic right now because when I go on social media, the level of misguided young women that I see, I just feel really sad because I think because we live in this era of feminism, it's all about girl power, do you girl, do you boo, do what you want. And then people coming on social media and they just don't care about the feelings of the man or what the man actually wants or is looking for in a wife. However, these women actually want to get married. They want to be in committed relationships. They want to settle down. They want to find good men. However, they are completely oblivious to what men really want in a relationship. And I think it's also like a little bit of selfishness, right? Because we're always looking inward. And that's human nature, by the way. I'm not, criticizing anyone. It is human nature to be a little selfish because we're all thinking about ourselves. But I think in a relationship, you have to come to the understanding that it's about two people. And so you have your needs that you want to be met, but the man also has his needs that he wants to be met. And When you sort of wash away what he desires in a woman, I think there's a problem. A lot of us tend to forget that men and women are completely separate entities. And so the things that we desire as women aren't necessarily the things that men desire in a woman. So you would have women that will come out and say things boldly like, I don't cook, I don't clean. And, whilst that isn't the be all and end all for, a woman's place in a relationship, the truth is that most men desire some level of domestic help, right? That's just the truth. Majority of men, probably 80% of them or even more, right? If you go across the world globally, most men desire some level of domestic help, right? And so we have a generation of women who think it's, I don't know, they think it's empowering to say I don't cook and I don't clean, right? And so the man, I don't care. I don't care that he desires that. It's not my business. I'm just not going to do it. Even though I can do it, I'm just not going to do it. However, you know, these same women are still expecting men to pay for things in a relationship. They're still expecting that 1% man, that guy who's earning a lot of money, who can pay for trips, who can do all of that. And so you ask yourself, what's the man getting in return? Because at the end of the day, the price has to be right, right? So if a guy who is this 1% man who earns a lot of money, or, the ideal man that you read in those romantic novels, right? So that guy he's looking for a wife, he wants a fulfilling relationship. And you're on your end saying all the things you want, but you don't particularly care about the things that he wants, especially the fact that most likely he's going to require some level of domestic help, right? So you don't care about that. You don't care. But he has to care that you desire financial stability. He has to care that you desire to be taken on trips, to be taken to expensive dinners, coffees, all that thing. Like he has to do all you want, but then you can just disregard, what he wants in a relationship. It doesn't matter because you're the prize and you're the queen. And so I think we have come to that level where I think we need to take a step back. I'm all for female empowerment, I'm all for girl power and feminism. However, in a relationship, it's about meeting the needs of two people, meaning the man's needs has to be met and your needs has to be met as well. And so I think, a lot of us tend to forget that. And we just sit down and we think the man is going to come and he's going to tick off all the boxes. But at the end of the day, what's he getting in return? And I always like to use this analogy. I'm like, if I am a buyer and I have money and I go to the market, let's say I want to buy a car. I don't care if the car on the lot is screaming that it's worth $100,000. If I look at it and it's not going to satisfy my needs, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to walk away with my money, even though I need a car. All right, darling. So that's my video for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if there's anything you think I left out, or if there's any negative mindset that you think I left out, do let me know down in the comment section. Also, guys, if there's any video that you want me to do, let me know down there as well. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.